Welcome to this week's Gardeners World. Monty Don, last week, if you go to the BBC website or iPlayer, you'll find last week's show that Monty hosted. You won't find my last week's show on there because of demand, okay? But one thing you will find when you go to my show is some great tips on how to move and relocate roses. Click above if you want to see that. But anyway, it's time to get on to this week's episode of Gardeners World. Thanks, Steve Dodd, and welcome back. Spring is well and truly upon us, but the veil of winter through early morning's frosts is still here. But has it affected every plant? Let's quickly flip the camera around. Lavender syringa purple frost is actually starting to flower now at this time of year. What you need to do when you're planting these is make sure you plant them in an appropriate manner and also an appropriate location. Let's have a look at what's on today's show. Thanks, Steve Dog. Today we've got a feature-packed show in front of us. Now, first up, who's that guy over there? You've got to believe it. That is Titch Marshmallow, and Titch is going to be using these today. They're called secateurs because we've got a little rose job for Titch. So we'll get over and see Titch. Who's this guy over here now? Yep, that is, of course, our friend Dave the Shrub. Now, Dave is going to be bringing us some wise words as always. And over here, we've also got a new character coming along today he's a pal of Dave's. Yes, Bruce Forsythia is going to give us some words today of wisdom. And then that guy over there, who's that? Yep, you got to believe it. That is our friend Monty Dog. Monty's going to be presenting a new feature which is called What's Behind the Shed. If we can pack all of that into this show, then that's going to be great, and we might even get to see our greenhouse this week, or maybe not. We will have to see. So first of all, let's rock and roll with Gardeners World, and we're going to get over first of all to Titch Marshmallow, who's going to sort out a rose problem which many of you might have, etc. Titch. Thank you, Steve Dog. Welcome to the Rose Corner, and this is for all you people out there who are suffering from a rose problem that does affect so very many people. A lot of people are embarrassed to ask for help, but for those people and for anyone who is suffering from this, this is essential viewing for you. So let's flip the camera around and tell you what we're all about. This, folks, is called dead rose. Yes, dead rose. And what's happened here, let's just turn the camera around, let's just zoom out and show you. What we've effectively got behind us over here is a rose that's probably been moved recently in an inappropriate manner, and that rose is struggling. That rose is finding life difficult in this new location. Always be careful when removing or moving roses or relocating roses, and tune into last week's show and we can show you how to move them in an appropriate way. Unfortunately, this row was not moved in such an appropriate way, but I'll show you how to remedy that right now. Right, this is what we need to do. Secateurs. Okay, first of all, we've got these secateurs. What we need to do is we need to trim back this rose at an appropriate location. Okay, let's do that right now. to the work face well and truly. What we're doing is we're looking for appropriate locations to trim these, and you're looking for what here in there, look. We're looking for nodules. That's right, we're looking for nodules, which is where the rose will be encouraged to sprout as we go forward. So I'm just going to find a nodule in there, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut just above. See that? Ow! I went like that, and I blimmin' put my finger onto one of those thorns, and it's blimmin' hurts. Ow! Oh, still sore. Thanks for that, Titch. And I've also hurt my finger as well. What are the chances? Got a thorn right in the end. It blimmin' hurts. Right, anyway, as we can all see, don't want to wake Dave the Shrub up there. We'll speak to him in a minute, but there's a pal of his who I'd like to introduce you all to here. Who's this? Yeah, this is our friend, Bruce Forsythia. Let's see if Bruce has got something to say to introduce himself this week. Maybe a bit of words of knowledge. Bruce.
Make sure you don't prick your finger on a rose bush this weekend. Back to you, Steve Dog.
Thanks for that, Bruce. Well said. Well said indeed, and it's great to have you on board to share some of your knowledge from the garden. Well, here we are, of course, at Short Meadow, and as you can see behind me at the moment, the honeysuckle here in Honeysuckle Corner is starting to flower now as we move into this new season, but of course, enough of all that. The big question on everyone's lips this week has been, what is behind the shed? Let's have a think about this. Well, there is the shed, folks, and a lovely shed it is too, but sheds are only as good as what's behind them. So it's time to get over to Titch Marshmallow, who's going to go on this mini adventure for us to find out what's behind the shed. This is What's Behind the Shed. Monty. Thanks for that, Steve Dog. Hi, and welcome to our new feature, which is called What's Behind the Shed. Just so you know, if I'm a little bit struggling a bit with today's feature, it's because I've got a thorn. It went in the end of my finger. It's catching. Right, so the big question on What's Behind the Shed this week is, test it, what's behind the shed. Let's go and have a look. So folks, so we're now going to do something which is quite revolutionary for this part of the show. We're going to go behind the shed now. Okay, here we go. Well, here we are, folks. We are now well and truly behind the shed. But what is behind the shed with us here today? Creatures, maybe? Let's have a look. Let's flip the camera around. There. Those folks are called bamboo canes. So that's the question I think answered for the question this week, which was what's behind the shed. So this week's answer is bamboo canes. Now, with that great news, it's back to you, Steve Dog, in Honeysuckle Corner. Steve Dog. Thanks for that, Monty Dog. What a great surprise that was for everybody, and I'm sure we'll all tune in next week to find out what is behind the shed next week. The honeysuckle eye has very delicate flowers that turn from almost a maroon colour into a yellow. Now, this this honeysuckle, when established, can become quite vivacious. And you must remember, folks, that when you're dealing with vivacious plants, to care for them in an appropriate way. It's starting to rain, so we're going to get a bit of a shimmy on now. Over to you, Dave the Shrub, for some quick words of wisdom. Dave.
Remember to keep your bamboos, canes, nice and tidy behind the shed this week. Back to you, Steve Dog.
Dave, that's amazing advice, and I couldn't have said that better myself. Thank you very much for those words. Now, I've got another quick feature we're going to bring to you right now. That feature is, what is in nature's garden this week? Yeah, this is an extended show, folks. We've got the time and we've got the inclination, as I'm sure you have, to keep watching. So we're going to take you out to the wildness of Meadow area, outside of Short Meadow, and just see what I found out there in nature's garden just the other day. Over to you, Steve Dog. Welcome back. Now, here I was earlier on in the local woodland. Let's have a quick look around and show you some of nature's garden. Let's turn the camera around. Wild garlic, or even garlic. You can cook with the leaves of this stuff, did you know? The leaves of these green things, whereas the white elements are called flowers. Underneath the veil of the woodland, beneath the sound of the chiff-chaff and the early morning spring chorus, lays a bed of wild garlic. What's this poking through? Buttercup? No, these are the lesser celandine. Just going over as we go into the new season. A solitary bluebell in the hedgerow, waiting for friends to come along and say hello. The red campion waving hello on this spring morning. Here in the hedgerow, those lesser celandine are really putting on a show. They are contributing to a great start to the new season. So Steve Dog, thanks for that. Now it's back to you to see if you're having a better season than the great outdoors, because I would say that this season is being exceeded. Expectations are being exceeded, and they've certainly made a winning start. Back to you at Short Meadow, Steve Dog. Thanks for that, Steve Dog. That was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed all the flowers you had on show, but Short Meadow also has some of these flowers on show as well. Let's have a quick look. Here we have our very own red campion. These were grown from seed last year. Many of you viewers would have seen that on the show, and the fruits of our campion labour are now almost sitting on my shoulder as we move into this new season on Gardener's World. But just remember this week, folks, when you're out in the garden, nature and the garden can be very much one and the same thing. So what I would say as we move into the new season on Gardener's World and in your gardening world, embrace the way of nature, and then nature can show a way to embrace you in your garden in the new season of Gardener's World. So it's time to say cheerio this week. The show is beginning to blossom, as is that cherry eye behind me, but it's time to say cheerio from Gardener's World this week. See you next time on Gardener's World.